الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم ولا فهم لنا إلا ما فهمتنا إنك أنت الجواد الكريم. This is the part 2 of advanced jinn catching training. So when we finished bringing the jinns of the patient, so what other jinns must we bring? So this jinn catching, of course, it is a tool to help treat the patients, but it is a tool to fight all the satanism and magic throughout the world. So we have to take this opportunity to look for as much jinns as we can to convert them to Islam. Subhanallah, I am surprised that some people say, why should we bring jinns that we're not concerned with to convert them to Islam? Well, it is to save them from hell. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has been sent as a rahmah for men and jinn and for all beings. How can we have the opportunity to convert them to Islam and not do it? That is not right. It is a gift, this catching, it is a gift that Allah Ta'ala has given us. So the more we use it to worship Allah, to do good, the more Allah Ta'ala is going to increase it. And the more we neglect, so that is going to reduce the gift of Allah Ta'ala. So we have to use it for the maximum. And this global war against Satanism in the world has no boundaries. We cannot stop anywhere. Well, you can do ruqya just for your living and just focus on treating your patients. But this is not the purpose of our group. We are here to fight Satanism and shirk in the whole world, and to bring the Islam to the whole world, and to change everything in the whole world. And changing the world of jinns has an impact in the human's world, because those who propagate evil in the world use jinns very much, and that works, that does propagate evil. So when we convert those jinns, and now they will be fighting for the sake of Allah Ta'ala, and fighting the evil people and making positive waswas to people. So that is part of the fight of Islam. So once we have finished, once we have brought the jinns of the person until it is finished, the next step is to bring the jinns in his house and family and work and all the people who did magic on him. That is his own environment. And that is necessary, because if we don't bring them, when he will go back home, the jinns will come into him, because it will be empty and the entrance will be there. So instead of having other jinns in the house, in his family, some of them will come to replace those. So we have to do it anyway. Same thing for the job, and also from the magician, because as long as there's magic with the patient, so that will have an impact in the setup of the magician, and they will come to replace those jinns that have been removed. So, and it is the opportunity for us to break the power and remove the jinns of all the magicians who worked on this patient. Even if the patient has gone himself to wrong people for help, people that use shirk and jinns, it is an opportunity to remove their jinns, to convert them, and then we send them to fight those they were working for. So to bring the jinns of the family, the environment of the patient, we can just read Hurrimat, we can read Fafataqnahuma, we can read Fakashafna, and we can look for the lover jinns. If the patient has lover jinns, so if the patient has lover jinns, we can say, okay, let's get all the jinns that want women, or that want men, or that want to be married. So we read women ayati, so they all come. Now if you happen to do the catching for a group of people, so there has to be some lover jinns. So that, especially when it is a group of people, it is an opportunity to go much further. So when we get the lover jinns of the people, so once we have done the catching of the people, you will see that when we ask for lover jinns, because lover jinns hide in the private parts of the person, so we need some special attention to pull them out and read وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ. And when we have them, we get all the other lover jinns that want women or men. And then we get the jinns from their ancestors that are following the family from generations. Now they can be active on the patient, they cannot. They can be They can just be waiting for an opportunity. They can be on other members of their families. But especially when it is a group of people, we're going to go up their lineage to get all the jinns that still have pacts with their ancestors and that are following up on the family to get people into shirk, to continue the shirk the ancestors have done. So we read bara'atun for that. Then we ask for all the jinns who want blood. Any jinns that want blood, that are looking for blood, that are waiting to be hired by magicians. So we read hurima to bring them. So then we can bring all the jinns that have any link with the magic that has been done on all those people. So we tell the jinns to look at the magic. We read the 5 verses. وَقَدِمْنَا وَيُنَزِّلُ عَلَيْكُم مِّنَ السَّمَاءِ مَاءً فَأَتَى اللَّهُ بُنْيَانَهُمْ بَرَاءَةً قُلْ إِنَّ الصَّلَاةِ وَالنُّسُكِ, to break the magic and get all the jinns that have link with that magic. Now, when you are catching for the school and the girls are falling, so we read the jinns of the disorder, that jinns are waiting for one girl to shout, to scream, so that they come from everywhere. So for that we read وَخَشَعَتِ الْأَصْوَاتُ لِلرَّحْمَنِ فَلَا تَسْمَعُ إِلَّا هِمْسًا. Then we get the jinns that work with the amils, means the people who do shirk in the name of Islam. Not all the amils like that, but we are going to get the jinns of shirk that is done in the name of Islam. So we read إِنَّ الْمُنَافِقِينَ فِي الدَّرْكِ الْأَسْفَلِ مِنَ النَّارِ, because they come to them as Muslims when they are not Muslims to drive them astray. Then we get the spies. So the spy jinns are special jinns that are very fast, so that the other jinns cannot see them. So we can have spies spying on our group, on our center, on our campaign, and the patients can have spies that magicians have appointed on them, or that come to from time to time to check if they're okay, if the magic has not been removed, otherwise they will inform the magicians. So to bring the spy, we read وَلَهُ مَا سَكَنَ فِي اللَّيْلِ وَالنَّهَارِ وَهُوَ السَّمِيعُ الْعَلِيمُ. This verse is very special because the spies, as I said, are very fast, they cannot be seen. It's like they have a vibration that is very high, and the normal jinns that have normal vibration cannot see them. So when we read وَلَهُ مَا سَكَنَ, this vibration comes back to normal. They come back into normal dimension, into normal jinns, normal speed. It is also good for those who are sleeping, who are not active, and their vibration is so slow that the other jinns also cannot see them. So that brings them back to normal. If you encounter flying jinns, so you read this, that will also settle them down. And then we look for any jinns that are hiding, that you did not manage to catch. We read يَوْمَ تُبْلَى السَّرَائِرِ, to make them come out. And then we look for the jinns that are stuck in the minds of people, that are part of their mentality, that are like merged with their personality. So we read fitrat Allah to bring them. And then we look for the jinns who train the magicians, who did the pacts with the magician, introduced them to sorcery. So we also read fitrat Allah, because those jinns have so much blood, they have changed, and they changed into some powerful jinn that have ability to do magic and to do pacts with the humans. So instead of doing hurimat on pulling their blood bit by bit, when we read fitrat Allah, it is the global change, bringing him back to his first nature. And then we have the jinns that enable the magicians to transform. That means when the magician does satanic pacts, when the magician does human sacrifice, that is a level of magic where he merges with the shaitan. And that means that the shaitan can do human things like taking objects, moving things, and that makes also that the human can do jinn things like coming, attacking people in their dreams, and also turning into animals. So when they turn into animals, actually his sound goes with the shaitan, and that shaitan turns into an animal, and the sound of the magician is with him. So we read fitrat Allah to make those jinns come back to nature, and now the ruh of the magician is trapped and cannot come to him. So that is very important when we have these magicians that transform themselves. Then we look for the jinns in the forest, in the trees, in the mountains, and under the rocks. And we read the verse, وَعِنْدَهُ مَفَاتِحُ الْغَيْبِ لَا يَعْلَمُهَا إِلَّا هُ. So of course all these things we don't do for an individual, but when we have a group of people like a conference or many patients, so that is an occasion, and you would see when you do this catching you get more and more and more jinns, inshallah. Then the jinns of the water, so we read فَأَوْحَيْنَا إِلَى مُوسَى نَضْرِبْ بِعَصَاكَ الْبَحْرَ. Then we look for the bosses. All these jinns work for bosses, and it is the bosses who go for the contest of the crown with Iblis. So we must go up the bosses until we get those who go for the contest of the crown. When we get a jinn that goes for the contest of the crown, now we have to empty up all that contest. All the other participants, we must bring them to convert them, and the one who won the crown, we will bring him to convert him, and all the others who also have won the crown, we will bring them to convert them, and all the organizers of this competition will bring them to convert them. And then there's the sleeper jinns. So sleeper jinns were the bosses and had so much blood that they sort of retired and they're not participating, but they're just sleeping. But when the setup of the magic and the shirk comes to be broken, they will wake up to put it back. So we should not wait for these sleepers to wake up and to come change things. So when we have got a lot of jinns, so we'll ask Allah to bring the sleepers that are there to replace them. And we read فَسُبْحَانَ اللَّهِ حِينَ تُمْسُونَ. And then we're going to also catch the jinns that are afraid to be caught, because some jinns will be seeing how we catch them, so they're afraid and they're hiding and they think, oh, I hope he's not going to think about us, I hope he's not going to find us. So just that fear will allow us to catch them. So we read وَآمَنَهُمْ مِنْ خَوْفٍ to bring them. Then we look for the jinns that have any link with the patient, any kind of link, and we read the verse of spider, مَثَلُ الَّذِينَ اتَّخَذُوا مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ أَوْلِيَاءَ, to do like a cobweb, like a network around the patient, anything that has any link with him. And then, so we might need to get the jinns who work with Dajjal. When we get the big jinns, when they start speaking about Dajjal, or even if they don't speak about Dajjal, when we have caught enough jinns, we'll ask Allah to bring those who are preparing the coming of Dajjal, those that we call Illuminatis. So we read Surah Kahf. You start reading and keep on reading Surah Kahf until it is finished. Now, when we have any special jinn, like a boss, like a sleeper, like a very old jinn, like a jinn that is in the shape of spider, that is a special jinn that is used for magic. When we encounter the special jinn, and it can take us some special effort to make him become Muslim, so we have to bring all the jinns of his category, all the other spiders, all the other bosses, all the other kings, all the other ifrits, all the others that say that they're so close to Iblis, all the others that prepare the coming of Dajjal. So anything special, outstanding that is with the jinn, we're going to ask Allah to bring all the jinns that are similar to that have that same ability or that same thing to bring them. So we read فَفَتَقْنَاهُمَا. There are some jinns that have many heads. There are some jinns that are handicapped, and they're specially used in magic to make the people ill. Some jinns also are dumb, cannot speak, and that is also used in magic so that they cannot give us any information. Some jinns don't have brain, so that they cannot think, they cannot understand, and they use them for magic so they cannot become Muslim. Some jinns say they are red flying, that means they train the magicians. Some jinns are sorcerers, some are kings, some are snakes, lions, mermaids, some are guardians, they are guarding something. So any kind of these special jinns, we have to bring all the similar jinns. So when we have a jinn that is very difficult to convert, gave us a very hard time, but at the end he is converted, so we must immediately bring all the similar jinns and all those that have any link with him to convert them. Inshallah, that will be much easier than what all the struggle we have done for him. if we don't bring those jinns, they will keep on attacking us, they will keep coming, they will keep on attacking the patients. The problem will not be over. So we have to go to the end of it, to the bottom of it, every time we can. Now also, once we have all these jinns, we can tell them, let's all read together Allahu nuru samawati wal ard, to make a great light to attract all the jinns that are in darkness, to bring them here. We can also read ظُلُمَاتٌ بَعْضُهَا فَوْقَ بَعْضٍ, and tell the jinns to look at any darkness they can see anywhere, and we're going to extract the jinns that are so deep in darkness that even those jinns we have brought cannot see them. So we read ظُلُمَاتٌ بَعْضُهَا فَوْقَ بَعْضٍ until they come. And we can also read لَتَرْكَبُنَّ طَبَقًا عَنْ طَبَقٍ, you'll go from stage to stage. It is to make us go to other dimensions of the jinn's world. The jinn's world is like compartments. When you are somewhere and the jinns say finish, no more jinns, that is just their compartment. So it can be, for example, for the jinns that work for the magicians, when we bring them, we'll ask Allah to bring their back bases, those who hired them, those who trained them, the sleepers that need to replace them, the spies, the chiefs, those who go for the contest, those who train the magicians, and those the commanders who give the orders. So we read لَتَرْكَبُنَّ طَبَقًا عَنْ طَبَقٍ, to go from level to level, from dimension to dimension, to bring a maximum of them. When we do a great campaign, bi'idhnillah tabarak wa ta'ala, and many catches, often the rain will come as a help. You'll see this rain coming in an unexpected way and a very strong way, rain. Alhamdulillah. Very often the rain comes to help because it is a new rahmah, a new angel coming with every drop of water. So this rain will clean out all the magic that is on the surface of the earth, what they put in the roads, what they put in front of the houses, what they put on the crossroads, etc., will be cleansed. All that magic will be destroyed by the power of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala, as if you have sprayed Quranic water throughout all the city or all that region. So when we feel that this rain is helping us, we have to do catching for the jinns that feel the effect of the rains, because it will be burning them and they'll try to hide and to run away. And if we have the confirmation that this rain has come as a rahmah for humanity and for all beings on earth, so now we need to catch for all the jinns that have felt the effect of this rain, all the bad jinns that feel the rain is burning them. That is the opportunity to bring them and convert them. Now, the full moon is also a special time for catching. Full moon is a special time for jinns because magicians gather very often at the full moon time and do their rituals. Now, what is the reason? What is special with the full moon so that the magicians gather at that time? Well, the reason is very simple. Is that because the magicians do their gatherings, their sacrifices, their rituals far away from people. So they go out the cities and they meet somewhere in a natural place. So because it is when it is full moon, so it is easy to travel, to go and to do everything and to come back, and you have enough light from the moon that they don't need electricity or from past ages. They don't need to light a fire, everything. So that is a very simple reason, because they gather in the middle of the night in places where no one comes. So instead of having to bring the light themselves, they just use the full moon, and also that will give them an appointment that everybody knows that is the time they have to gather, instead of fixing dates for gathering. So the jinns, of course, look forward to this time. So when the moon is getting bigger and bigger in the first half of the month, the jinns are getting happy that yes, our sacrifices are going to come. So when those days are coming, with the full moon nights or the days before, we have to use the moon as to catch. So we just look at the moon and think of all the jinns that are looking at the moon, waiting to get sacrifices, hoping to get sacrifice, and we catch them as if the moon was a mirror, allowing us to catch them. MashaAllah. happens in the catching or with the patient that the magician himself will speak through the catcher or through the patient. So if it is with the catcher, with the patient, the situation is different. But talking about catching, as soon as you realize that the thing speaking through the patient is not a jinn, it is a human, so you stop discussing with him and you bring the beast to eat him. That's how we do. Actually, some of my students discuss with them until they convert them to Islam. I don't really know if that has a real effect. I prefer to kill them. I prefer to kill them as much as I can. Now it happens that when you bring the beast to eat the magician that is speaking through the patient, and he says, no, no, please leave me, we'll tell him, bring all your colleagues, because usually they are a network. That kind of magician, they do human sacrifices, and they put the human sacrifices together. They put their power together. So they are a group, and usually they will sacrifice a person by turns, and then you can gather to eat human flesh together, etc. So if he starts saying that, oh, please leave me, don't kill me, you tell him, bring all your group. We don't tell him, yes, we'll leave you or we'll not kill you, but just we will take this opportunity of him being desperate and seeing that he's going to die to tell him to bring all his group. Of course, it is a bit cheating him, that we're giving him some hope, that as if we're saying that if he brings his group, so we'll let him go, but we'll not let him go, we're going to kill them all. But that's how it is. They don't have any pity of, no one will not have pity for them. Yeah, so when it is the human magician speaking through the catcher, you will see that it is very difficult to convert him and very difficult to kill him, and he's very resistant to Quran. We can eventually kill him by reading and hit him, but that will take very long. Now, if the jinn we caught says that the patient is a magician, is a sorcerer, we don't do nothing about it. We just finish, and when we finish, we read فَقَاتِلُوا أَوْلِيَاءَ الشَّيْطَانِ, fight the allies of the devil. So if the patient is a magician, the jinns will fight him. If he has not, if he has made tawbah, so he's gone out of the category of magicians, so the jinns will not attack him. That's all. Now we say the patient, we tell the patient that the jinns, if the patient has heard, we can tell him that the jinns have said that, so if he has done anything wrong in his life, he should repent, and that's it. And we give him the treatment. So you must not be afraid, because you see this verse, Allah says, وَنُنَزِّلُ مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ, we give down a Quran that is a remedy and a mercy for believers, and the unjust will only lose more with the Quran. So the Quran is a remedy for everybody, for any person, and it is a rahmah for the believers. So by giving shifa to non-believers, we hope that they will get iman and they will become believers and they will get the rahmah. But those who are zalim, those who are magicians and work with the shaitan, the Quran will destroy them. So if the patient is really a magician, just let the Quran do his job. That will destroy him. How can the Quran cure him or help him when he is the enemy of Allah? When he is working with shaitan. But we just give him advice. If he's done anything wrong, he should repent. Otherwise, just do your treatment and everything will be okay. Now, if when we're doing the catching, the catcher is blocked, so we have to work on him, read and hit and try to understand until he's unblocked and he comes back to normal. So some people, some new catchers or maybe old catchers, they're not really catching, and they have jinns that are making fun of them and making fun of us, and they're not really catching. It's just the same jinns. The person is possessed, the same jinns come and say the same story for everybody. So how do we realize that? We realize that the catching is the same for anybody and the answers are the same. So that doesn't really make sense. So if that is the situation, we'll ask more questions to the jinns that claim they have converted, to confront them and to be sure that they're not really converted and they're not the jinns of the patient, and that this person is just possessed and his jinns have understood the catching, and they're just pretending to be his jinns. So if that is the case, we're going to stop using that person as a catcher, and he will come back to the state of patient, and we'll continue treating him to remove his jinns and everything. Now, if you are catching and the jinn tells you, your devil tells you that you are doing this, you get angry too much, or you are doing this or that, what must you do? Indeed, the jinns do it, and I'm going to tell you a story. I have one patient who came and he was possessed. That was before the catching, and finally the jinn embraced Islam, and mashallah. So the patient told me that he once was possessed in the mosque, and the people caught him and started reading on him, and he stopped the jinn speaking. The jinn wanted to say that you are reading on me when you robbed the money of the mosque, and you are reading on me when you cheated on your wife, and the jinn wanted to say everything wrong with all those people. But the patient, he held the jinn, he stopped the jinn from speaking, not to, so he does not make a problem in the mosque. You see? So if you have anything wrong with you, the jinns will love to say it. Will love to say it, because you are reading Quran. Tell them to become Muslim. You tell me to become Muslim, and what you are doing, this and that, is that according to Islam? MashaAllah. The jinns will love saying that to you. So if that happens, you must accept their nasiha, and you must change yourself. That's what you have to do. Don't lie, don't deny, don't try to say, but you are kafir, you are worse than me. No. Accept it. Yes, it's right. Oh yes, I am weak. Oh, please give me nasiha. Jazakallah khair. May Allah bless you. Ya Allah, help me to change myself. And inshallah, you change yourself, you make a decision, you try. That's all. Now, if it is something that is not important and you're not ready to change yourself, that's up to you. But with the jinns, don't try to cheat. It is useless to cheat, because he sees. So the more you cheat, you're getting into more sins, and he will never accept Islam, because he'll see that you're just a fake guy, and you use Islam to your convenience, and when it does not, when it is not in your interest, in the interest of your desire, you're going to leave Islam. So you're just taking it the way you like, not the way Allah Ta'ala wants. Okay, so when you do the catching, how does it help to touch the catcher? Well, of course, you must not touch females that are not our mahram. That's clear. But otherwise, if it helps to touch the catcher, because the catcher will feel, the jinn will feel the light that is in you, the light of iman, and that will help him become Muslim easier. Now, if your light is not much, that will not help much. But if your light is very strong, that will help. That's how it helps. Now, when we start training a catcher, and when we take a patient that is possessed, and we need to work on that jinn until he becomes Muslim, and that can be very long. So, if the jinn says Shahada, how do we know that he's really Muslim? So we know he's really Muslim by two things. First, the Quran will not burn him anymore. So if the jinn says, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, okay, leave me now, done Shahada. So we know it's wrong, because if he really did Shahada, the Quran will not be burning him anymore. So when he says that, we say, yeah, just keep reading Shahada, and we continue beating him and reading on him. The second thing is that the jinn is black. When he's kafir, he must turn into white. So when he says Shahada, we can ask him, how's your body? And if he says black or gray, we say keep repeating Shahada till it becomes white, until it's become really white and shining. That's how we know that the jinn is really Muslim. As jinns are created from fire, this fire can become dark, can also become clear and white. So when they do evil, they become darker and darker. So jinns do not need fiqh and do not need fatwa. Whenever they do good, they become whiter. When they do bad, they become darker. So they know what is good and bad directly. And to one point, when they do good, they become so white, they become close to angels, and they will not need anything of dunya. They will just be feeding on dhikr and dua and ibadah, like the angels. Well, because jinns are created from fire and angels from nur, from light, so there is a proximity. that the jinns can purify themselves until they become close to angels. That's what is called ruhan, like spiritual beings. Anyway, that's how it is. So this is why when he becomes Muslim, he must turn to white, and in the end, before releasing them, we'll read Allah Nur as-Samawati wal Ard until they get wings. So when they get wings through Nur, that means they are close to angels, and we hope they will not come back to kufr after that. So if we do catching and a jinn, we find a jinn that has converted to Islam, that we have converted to Islam, and we sent to fight the magicians, and he's back to kufr. So what will we do? So we're going to apply the hadith لا يلدغ المؤمن من جحر مرتين. The believer should not be poked by the same hole twice. So this jinn cheated us and betrayed us, and betrayed Islam, betrayed Allah Ta'ala, came back to kufr, so we're not going to give him a second chance. So immediately we read إِنَّ الْمُنَافِقِينَ فِي الدَّرْكِ الْأَسْفَلِ مِنَ النَّارِ until he dies. Or he really becomes Muslim, and even if he takes shahada, we insist with the verse of munafiqeen until we see that really the Quran is not burning him and it is finished, he's really a believer. Otherwise, if he dies, that's it, we just kill him, because it is the Quran killing him, and we don't want to take a second chance with him, and that will also be an example for others. Now, in some cases, jinn will accept Islam, but he loves the patient so much that he's afraid to come back to the patient. And in that case, if a jinn is Muslim and white, but he falls in love with a woman or with a man, and he goes to stick on him for zina and to be with him, he's going to become black, he's going to lose his iman. Jinns are not like human beings that can be sinner and yet Muslim and making salah. They cannot, it's just one piece. So he cannot have a double personality like us. So when he goes back to sins, he loses his iman, even if he's called Muslim, but there's nothing of Islam left with him. So if the jinn himself is afraid that he might come back to the patient, he cannot guarantee, because he's been with him so much, loves him so much. So we tell him, okay, there is a solution. You're going to die and go to Jannah. And if he accepts this solution, we tell him to repeat, Ya Allah, show me all your light, show me all your power, and he's going to repeat it until he dies out of the light of Allah Ta'ala. Of course, he's going to die with iman and go to Jannah. That will be a good solution for everybody, for him and for the patients. Now, when we are trying to train a catcher, we work on a patient that is possessed until the jinn makes shahada and becomes white. There is a change that will happen in the person of the catcher, in his mind. That light will be there, will live in effect in his mind, that any other jinn coming will see the light, and will see the light like a way out. As if you're in a dark room, you see nothing, then the door is very little open and there's light. So that shows you the way out. So this is why when you train a catcher, the first jinn to make him become Muslim is very difficult, can take hours and days of work. But after that, it's become very much easier. The second will be much easier, the third will be much more easy, and after the fourth, it will become automatic that when they come, they immediately accept Islam. So this is to remind me and to insist that when you are training a new person to become a catcher, you have to take your time to discuss with the jinn, to give him verses, to hit him, to listen to him, to answer to all his questions until he accepts shahada, and you make sure he becomes white so that you can get a catcher. So if you don't have the patience and the understanding of this process, you'll never get a catcher, and you'll always think that jinns will not become Muslim, and you just have to kill them. So when we have a new catcher, someone has become a catcher, we have to teach him two things. First is to catch on his own, because he can be in a situation where jinns are bothering him and there's no one to read on him. So he must be able to bring them, make them convert, take shahada and go. Even if he cannot go into details, he cannot get information, etc. Sometimes he can, but at least he needs to be able to do it, to convert them and release them on his own. And the second thing we teach him is to kill the jinns himself. If he is attacked by a jinn and he's trying to convert him and he's not managing, so he must be able to put an end to the situation by killing the jinn. So he can kill him by slaughtering himself with his hand going like this and taking the intention of slaughtering him that way, or he can just hit his head on the side with the intention of cutting his head off, or any way that he finds suitable for him to kill the jinns. So when a new catcher doubts of what he sees, he says, is this right? Are the jinns really converting? What I am seeing, that the patient has this magic, is this true, or am I just imagining it? So this is normal that he goes through the doubts. It is a new sensation and he has doubts. Even Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he received the wahi, he had doubts. He said, is this shaitan making fun of me, driving me astray? So it is normal to have the doubts. So we know it is not his imagination, because he's not trying to make up a story to tell the people. He's not trying to do anything. So just coming there and he's seeing all that. So we just continue, the catcher must just continue until the doubts will go and he will know that that is really what he is seeing. Now when we catch, the intention of the catcher is very important. That means that if you want to catch for something but the catcher does not want, he wants to catch from something else, that is what's going to happen. So the intention of the catcher determines what jinns is going to come. That is what is bringing the jinns. Now if the catcher thinks that the jinns will not convert, it will be very difficult to convert them. If he believes that the jinns do not convert, they are liars, they are munafiqeen, that will make like a block in his mind, that will stop the jinns coming to Islam. When they want as jinns to become Muslim, they would see in his brain, no, that's impossible. So they don't find, it will be very difficult to convert them. You see, as if, for example, if you don't believe in humans that have 3 legs, so if I tell you that, yes, I have my friend who's got 3 legs, you're going to look at me, Yani, what's this person talking about? Because you do not believe in these people who have 3 legs. So whatever I'm going to tell you, you think I am funny, I'm going crazy. You see? So that's how, in the mind of the person, if he does not believe jinns can convert, so when they try to convert, he says, no, he's lying, that's not true. And that will make it very difficult for jinns to convert. So it is very important that the catcher has a rahmah on jinns and the desire to convert them and the belief that they can convert very easily. So the more he has this rahmah and this open door for jinns to convert, even though they have been very satanic, they have done very much harm to him or to people, but you must know that they can convert very easily and become very good jinns. So when you open the door, you are showing them the way. You are showing them the rahmah of Allah and the benefit of Islam, and that all the evil they have done is going to be over. So that will make it much easier for them to convert. And if the catcher thinks that the only solution is to kill the jinns, so very probably that's what is going to happen, and there will be no way, no other solution but to kill the jinns. So if we kill the jinns excessively in the catching, so some people are like this, they just bring and kill. What is going to happen? More and more jinns will be coming to attack us, to take revenge on us, and the jinns will stop becoming Muslim. It will be more and more difficult to get them to become Muslim with this person, because they see how bad he is, how wicked he is, how much he hates them, how many jinns he has killed of them. So it will be very, very difficult that they convert to Islam, and the catching and the ruqya is going to come to a dead end. That means that we're going to be attacked so much, everything is going to block, everything is going to stop. So it is going to a dead end by killing jinns that way. So if that happens, ask Allah to forgive you and ask Allah to bring back all the jinns you have killed by reading for Subhanallah, to convert them, and ask Allah Ta'ala to bring all the jinns that are angry, that want to take revenge on you, so that you convert them all, and that will be over. Now if it happens that the jinn did not accept to become Muslim and we had to kill him, and and that jinn was very resistant and very important. So we have to bring all his relatives, all his workers, his army, or whoever has any link with him. We have to bring them all to convert them, because anyway they're going to attack. They're going to attack to take revenge for him. So if a catcher just wants to catch for himself and his family, is that possible? It will not be possible, because to keep the breaches going, to keep the catching going, you have to catch regularly. And if you're just catching for your family, once you have done the catching, and then you can do after a week, 2 weeks, after some time, it will be finished, it will be over. So that is not enough to keep the catching going. That is it. So and it takes quite a bit of work to make someone catcher. So it is really not worth it to train a catcher just for his own self or for his own family. And if someone did catching and wants to stop being a catcher, is that possible? Yes. When you stop catching and you just wash with the water, oil, and use the hijama, the breaches will close and you come back to a normal person. Now, what is the vision? The vision is a way of catching, is that the jinns do not come into the catcher and do not speak to the catcher, but he sees them and he can communicate with them, and they will come and they will become Muslim and everything. So it works the same like the catching. There's no difference in efficiency and result. Just that the vision is easier for the catcher because they don't come in his body, they don't speak, and the catching is more spectacular is because we can see the jinns reacting and we can speak with them, but the result is the same. So, is it possible that someone that was never possessed becomes a catcher? The normal way is someone who's possessed will work on him to make him become a catcher, because that opening, it comes by magic and sihr, or by being hit with a jinn, maybe bar'ain. We cannot provoke it ourselves. But we had a few cases, very few cases, of raqis that asked Allah Ta'ala to become catcher until they suddenly became catcher. So it is possible that separation between him and the jinns world would just suddenly burst and he would start catching jinns. And also some other raqis, because they are always confronted to jinns and to magic, that progressively created breaches and they started having vision and they ended up to become catchers. Now, what are the lists? So the lists in the work of Iblis, in the organization of Iblis, there is lists for everything. List for everything. So for example, the magician, there's a list of the magician because they have pacts with Iblis and he has to provide them with jinns, he has to help them, shayateen must work with them. So all the people who do satanic cult, there's a list of them because they have become his friends, there's special attention. So all those, for example, who are da'i, who give da'wah to Islam, there's a special attention that Iblis will work on them, not only to drive them astray like any human being or any Muslim, but also to create problems around them, to get them busy with the problems so they stop making da'wah. So for example, there is a list of the munfiqeen, muhsinin, those who give money for the sake of Islam. So when Iblis knows that this person is using his money for the sake of Islam, he is going to try to create problems to block his money, so he will stop spending for Islam. So there's a list for anything, So for example, there's also a list for the patients for whom a human sacrifice has been made. And in that situation, the shayateen will come, extra shayateen not working with the magician will come to make sure that that person never gets cured. You see? So we are treating the person, we are removing the jinn that comes from the magician, and some extra shayateen come and to keep on making his illness to keep it ongoing, because there is that list. So when we discover a list, for example, we are treating a alim, a maulana, and we discover that some special shayateen are there to stop his work because he's doing a very good work for Islam. So we have to catch for all the lists. We ask for their boss, and so this alim has been targeted because he's doing a very good job for Islam. Who is in charge of this matter? And now we ask, you have a list, how many people are you in charge of breaking them because they are doing a very good job for Islam? He would say 100 or 1,000 or whatever. So now we get the jinns that are now we get the jinns that are attacking all those people, or that are working for that boss. And when we have a head of the list, that means a jinn that is responsible of a list, we say, okay, you have other colleagues that have other lists for other different things. Yes, okay, let's get them all, and let's get all the jinns that work for other lists. So whenever we manage to go, it's like you manage to go into a system, into a computer, so you might as well pump out the maximum of things you can pump out of that computer. That's how, once we have broken into something, so we have to clean it up totally, bi-idhnillah tabarak wa ta'ala. So what are the crowns? So this hadith, Ibn Hibban reports in his Sahih from Abu Musa al-Ash'ari that Rasulullah said, every morning Iblis sends his soldiers and says, whoever drives a Muslim astray today, I will make him wear the crown. When they come, and one says, I have tempted such person until he misbehaved with his parents, he says he will soon honor them. Another one says, I have tempted such person until he divorced with his wife, he says he will soon get married. Another one says, I have tempted such person until he drank wine, he says, you, yes you. Another one says, I have tempted such person until he killed, he says, you, yes you, and puts the crown on him. So this is a hadith. And this hadith has other versions, where another version is the one who provoked talaq that gets the crown. But anyway, there's this contest, and by interacting with jinns, we understood that the jinns that work with people, they don't go for the contest. They have a boss that they report on him. So those who go for the contest, they have plenty of jinns that are working for them, and they collect all the information, and that's how they go to present for the contest. Now, from experience, the jinns say that every day the contest is different. So every jinn will go once a year. So he's got 1 year to work and to gather and to present to the contest. And it will be different categories of jinns for different things every day. And the base of all this is in Bermuda Triangle. So I am giving you this information. So if you have any jinn working for shaitan, you have to go up until you get the one that goes for the contest. And now you try to empty all of that. When you are doing ruqya, you have to catch for the center every day. Of course, if you get problems, people not coming, bad things happening in the center, you need to catch, but you must not wait for the problems to come to catch. You have to catch every day, every night, every morning. Every night you catch for all the jinns that are preparing to attack you, to attack your patients, that are not happy with what you are doing, that are speaking with the magicians, that you must stop these people. So all those who are plotting against us, we catch for them, and in the morning we catch for all those who try to attack us. So as in the day you are catching for the patients, from time to time you say, okay, let's get all the jinns that don't like our work, that are trying to attack us, to stop us, or that are spying on us, or whatever. You have to do that regularly. Otherwise you will find out that for example, jinns have put a unit of shayateen next to your center and attack all the patients that leave the center, so they don't get cured. And you're going to have these people coming to give trouble to the center because you have neglected the catching, and now the problems have come to you. And when we program a new campaign, we say that next year we're going to such country or to do this. As soon as we start giving the name and the date for the campaign, we have to start catching, because the jinns will be, the shayateen will be aware of what we are doing, and they will start to do programs against us, and that can lead to trouble. So we have to start catching as soon as we prepare the campaign. And at each step, if we go for visa, if we book our flight, if we have contacts there, we have to catch for those contacts that are preparing for us. MashaAllah. Okay, now when we do jinn catching, that removes the jinns, that does not remove the magic. Even if we tell the jinns, look at the magic, and we read to destroy the magic until they say there's no more magic, that is just in the eyes of the jinns. On the jinns' word, we have to do the treatment ourselves. So never tell the patient that your magic is finished, that you don't need to do the treatment, that the jinn catching will be enough. We don't accept that. We don't accept that. If someone is like that, he's going out of our group, because the base of our treatment is still the water, the oil, the sana, and the cupping, and other things we do, so that is necessary to use it all the time. May Allah Ta'ala accept us and guide us. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.